How did you even get into the WWE? Because we have seen stories of other people having to hold a broom like Eric Bischoff and try to sell it to Vince McMahon. Did you have that same experience?
Yeah, no, I did the Sell Me the Broom as well. But it was a pretty crazy route that I took to actually end up with the WWF WWE.
Right.
I at the time was working for Major League Baseball Productions in New York, and had worked my way up. I was a producer there, and also had started doing some stuff on camera. And there was a show that they put together called Light Moments in Sports with Joe Namath. He was the host of the show, and I was one of the producers. And Joe, of course, didn't have the best knees. He couldn't get out and do a lot of stuff. So I raised my hand and like anything you need done, and I would go out and do these crazy stories. Went to this big fair thing that they had out in California where I rode camels. I went to paintball camp, and one of the stories we did was at the Monster Factory. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
Yeah, the wrestling school.
Larry Sharp, yeah. And he let me come in and be that idiot reporter, and get tossed around. And the story goes that Vince McMahon saw it. It was on the NBC affiliates out there. It was, across the country. And he saw it. And I had a friend of mine who had been working up there in Stanford who, said, I know that guy. And Vince said, well, get him up here. And I got a cold call basically and said, hey, you want to come up and just audition? And I was trying to get more stuff on television and figured, well, what the hell? But I was not a big wrestling fan growing up. I hadn't really followed it. I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, where we didn't get a lot of shows that came through. They had some territories, but it wasn't anything, that you really would get to follow.
Right.
And so I didn't know that much about it, but I am a person, whenever I've got a challenge, I study up. And so I basically had them send me like every picture of every superstar. And, back then it wasn't like you could get on the internet and get all this information. So I just crammed. I was going to do the audition in a couple of weeks, and I went up there, and that's exactly what you mentioned about the broom. Bruce Pritchard was the one running it. I have no idea. If Vince was there, I didn't meet him. He might have been back in the, control room. But Bruce is the one who ran the whole thing. And yep, they had me do that stupid, sell me the broom. And, I don't know how many people they ran through that day, but, I know that they had people coming in and out of there. And I just figured, what the hell? I had nothing to lose, just give it a shot. And I remember before I walked out of there, I was like thinking, I got to do something a little extra here, because instead of the basics. And I had taken the train up from, the city, and kind of came up with this stupid skit in my head that if they put me on the spot, I could do something. And I did this. I said, hey, Bruce, can I just do one real quick thing? He's like, yeah, sure. And so I did this skit about, you're a wrestling fan, make it known to everybody, get out in the streets or something. I can't even remember. It was something stupid, but I think that just stood out, the fact that I, took the initiative there and did something more than they were asking me to do, and went back to my job back in the city. And 2 weeks later, their HR guy called me and said, Vince McMahon wants to know if you want to come work for us. I was like, what the hell, And I said, I took the chance. I got on the train. Wow. That's kind of how it happened. And, later on, and I've talked to other people, and I've, interviewed Eric and, about his experience, and other people where they would bring you back, 4 or 5 times. And I just went that one time, and then I have no idea to this day what it was, because when I got there, I was awful. If anybody looks back at the stuff, and one of the big reasons is the fact that Howard Finkel was my coach, my guy. And here's a ring announcer who's used to just, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled for one fall, and Howard had me basically screaming, welcome to the event center. You could just like over enunciating.
Oh yeah.
And finally, I just, my voice, I couldn't even, talk after a couple of weeks. And this had been going on, because they basically put me in the fire. And I just said to Howard, I said, Howard, can I just try something different here? Because this is killing me. Okay, sure, whatever. And and I did it and they liked it. And I kind of went from there, but it was a crazy start. And
Wow.
how it played out was, pretty amazing. I mean, I was there for 5 years.